Brand new riding mowers are sitting on dealer lots right now with dust on the seats, flat spots on the tires, and price tags nobody is reaching for. I count 12 distinct kinds of machine doing it this season, and I can tell you exactly why each one is stuck there. Because most of the reasons are bolted to the underside of the thing where the brochure photographer never points the camera. Here is the part that surprises people. It is almost never the engine. The engine is usually the healthiest thing on a modern residential rider. What kills these machines, and what quietly kills the sale once word gets around a small town, is a sealed aluminum box about the size of a bread loaf sitting between the rear wheels, along with a warranty written in hours instead of years, and a sticker price that has climbed faster than anything inside the machine got better. I have had more of those sealed boxes apart on a bench than I care to add up, and I will tell you the number that matters most. Not one of them was designed to be opened by you. Some of them do not even have a drain plug. That is not an accident, and it is not laziness. Somebody decided. So here is what you get out of the next stretch. 12 machines currently going stale on lots across the country. What is actually wrong with each one, and what you would pay to fix it after the warranty runs dry. Along the way, I am going to show you a manufacturer's own service manual saying two completely opposite things about the same part in the space of about 30 words, in print, where anybody can read it. That one is worth waiting for, because once you have seen it, you will never look at the word maintenance-free the same way. And there is a thread running through all 12 of these. Every year the sticker goes up and the number of parts you are allowed to touch goes down. Keep that in your back pocket. It explains more than any spec sheet will. Let me set the foundation, because without this, the rest is just a list of complaints. A riding mower is 3 systems pretending to be one machine. There is the engine, which turns fuel into spinning. There is the deck, which is a steel box that makes wind. And there is the drive, which takes the spinning and turns it into you moving forward at walking pace, with 600 pounds under you. Those 3 age at completely different rates, and the price of the machine is decided almost entirely by the third one, which is the one nobody looks at. On a hydrostatic mower, the drive is a small hydraulic pump pushing oil against a small hydraulic motor. No gears grinding through ratios, just fluid being shoved. It is a wonderful, simple arrangement, and it works beautifully right up until the oil inside it gets hot, thin, and full of aluminum glitter. Then the pump starts trying to push something that is half foam, and foam does not push. You feel that as a whine going up your hill and a machine that walks up at fine in the morning and refuses by mid-afternoon. The old hands in this trade knew where the money was hiding. Ask anybody who was selling garden tractors in the 70s and 80s, and they will tell you customers used to ask what was in the rear end before they asked about horsepower. Cast iron case, serviceable, grease fittings you could actually find. Somewhere along the way we stopped asking, and the industry noticed we stopped. Number 1 on the lot, and the most common unsold machine in America right now. The entry-level 42-inch lawn tractor with 1 cylinder in the $2,400 to $2,600 neighborhood. Every brand has one. The green one everybody knows in this class runs a 17.5 horse single-cylinder engine under a stamped hood, hydrostatic pedals, and the 100 series as a whole retails somewhere between about $2,400 and $3,600 depending on which rung you pick. Reasonable machine. Cuts grass fine on flat ground. The problem is what is between the rear wheels, and the problem is the same across the whole class regardless of paint color. This price band uses a small sealed transaxle, and the most common one in the world in this application has no drain plug on it. To change the oil, you pull the unit out of the tractor, tip it over, and drain it through the vent. The manufacturer's own recommendation for what goes back in is a 5-weight 50 synthetic, which tells you they know exactly how hard that fluid is working. Now, how long does it live? This is where I want to be straight with you because the internet is not honest about it. The number you see repeated everywhere is 300 to 500 hours. The manufacturer pushes back on that, and their pushback is fair. They point out there are millions of these units in service, and plenty of them running past 700, past 1,000 hours, and that a lot of complaints come from people who bought a light machine for heavy ground. I have seen both. I have pulled units apart at 250 hours that were cooked, and I have seen one on a flat Ohio lawn with 600 hours that shifts like new. What is not in dispute is what the fluid looks like when it comes out of a neglected one. It comes out gray, like liquid nickel. Now hold that thought, because here is the number that makes this a business decision rather than an engineering one. That tractor's bumper-to-bumper coverage is 2 years or 120 hours, whichever comes first. 120 hours. If you mow an acre with a 42-inch deck, you might burn 30 to 40 hours a season. So the coverage is gone in 3 or 4 summers, and the part everybody worries about is only entering the risk window as the paperwork expires. Buyers have worked that out. That is why these sit. Number 2 is quick, because it is barely a mystery. The manual gear 42-inch tractor. 6 or 7 forward speeds, a lever between your legs, a foot clutch, 17.5 horse Briggs, and a price a few hundred under the hydro version. That machine sold by the trainload 20 years ago. Now it sits because the customer walks up, hears the word clutch, and pictures himself doing hill starts while dragging a bag cart. He is not wrong to hesitate, but he is missing something. The gearbox in that thing is dumber, tougher, and cheaper to fix than the hydro he is about to spend more money on. It is the one machine on this list I think is genuinely underrated. Third, the 30-inch rear engine rider. This is a legitimately useful little thing. Engine behind you, tiny footprint, fits through a gate, turns in a driveway. If you have got 1/3 of an acre with a lot of fence, it is arguably the right answer, but it lands in the worst possible place on the price map. It costs real money, often a couple thousand and up, and the customer standing next to it can see a 42-inch tractor 20 feet away for a few hundred more. Deck width wins that argument every single time, whether it should or not. They also carry a reputational hangover in this category. There was a recall on one popular 33-inch rear-engine rider a few years back that put those machines in the news for the wrong reasons, and small towns have long memories about this stuff. Fair or not, that lingers. Fourth, and this is the big one on the lots, the entry residential zero-turn in the $3,700 to $4,000 range. These look like the deal of the century. A well-known 42-inch model in this class runs a 21.5 horsepower twin, roughly 726 cc, dual hydrostatic drive, 7 miles an hour forward, 2-inch square tubular frame with a real corrosion coating on it. That is a genuinely decent specification sheet, and the warranty on that family is 3 years with no hour cap, which is meaningfully better than the 120-hour deal you get 1 aisle over. So why are they sitting? 2 reasons. The first is that a zero-turn at this price uses an integrated sealed transaxle on each side, and the entry-level units in this category have a long, documented reputation for going soft somewhere in the 250 to 400-hour range when they are worked on slopes. That is forum-sourced, not laboratory-sourced, and I want to flag it as such. I will also be honest that I cannot tell you which specific drive unit is in every 2026 build of every model, because the spec sheets in this class routinely do not name it. That is not me being lazy. Go look. Horsepower, deck gauge, seat width, cup holders, and then silence exactly where the most expensive failure lives. The second reason is simpler. The customer for a $4,000 zero-turn is usually a man with 2 acres and a slope, and he has heard from a neighbor that these do not love slopes. Word of mouth in this category is brutal, and it is mostly accurate. Fifth, the battery zero-turn at $6,000 or $7,000. I want to give these a fair shake, because I have less hands-on time on battery riders than I do on gas ones. And I will not pretend otherwise. What I can tell you is documented in the pricing. And the pricing is a horror show for anybody who paid full freight. One of the leading 52-inch battery zero turns launched around $7,000. It has been publicly discounted to $6,500, then to just under $6,000. And in the summer of 2025, people were photographing them on clearance racks in Florida at $1,750. $1,750 for a machine with a nearly $7,000 tag on it. Understand what that does to a dealer. Every unit on his floor is now worth whatever the last clearance photo says it is worth. That is not a mower problem. That is a market that has not decided what these things cost yet, and buyers can smell indecision. The machines themselves cut fine. Quiet, instant torque, no carburetor to gum up over winter. Runtime is the honest limit. Figure a couple of acres on a charge on flat, dry grass, less in thick or wet stuff, and plan on 3 to 4 hours to recharge. If you have got half an acre, that is plenty. If you have got 5, you are buying a very expensive way to mow in shifts. Sixth, the battery lawn tractor. Same story, smaller numbers. One popular 42-inch electric tractor went from $4,000 to $3,500 at a big box retailer inside a season. And reviewers testing the big 80-volt tractor have flagged fiddly deck height adjustment, which is exactly the kind of thing that annoys you every single week. These are not bad machines. They are machines whose price has not stopped moving, and nobody wants to be the guy who bought last week. All right, that is 6 down, 6 to go. And we are about to get into the ones where somebody's paperwork is the actual problem rather than the hardware. If you are finding this useful, subscribe. The transaxle math alone will save somebody watching this a repair bill. Coming up, the machine on the floor right now that the government has an open recall notice on, and the $1,200 accessory that killed sales of a whole class of mower. Seventh, the steering wheel zero turn. You have seen these. All-wheel steering, a wheel instead of lap bars, and a slope rating up to 20 degrees, which is a genuinely clever piece of engineering. It drives the front wheels in sync with the rears instead of dragging them sideways. On paper, it solves the exact complaint that kills item 4. It sits anyway, for a reason that has nothing to do with quality. It costs more than the lap bar version, and the customer cannot tell what he is buying. He came in wanting a zero turn because zero turns are fast. Now there is a steering wheel, which looks like the tractor he was trying to upgrade from, at a higher price. Resale is the other half of it. Nobody in his town has one, so nobody knows what a used one is worth. Anything with an unknown resale number moves slowly, and dealers stock them anyway because the spec sheet is impressive. Eighth, and this is a stocking mistake more than a machine problem. The 54 and 60-inch residential zero-turn bought for 1 acre. Big deck, big price, big margin, so it gets floor space. Then the customer measures his side gate at 48 inches and walks. A wider deck does not just cut faster, it also refuses to fit between the shed and the fence, scalps every crown in your yard, and needs somewhere to live in December. Dealers overorder deck width every single spring. And every fall, those specific units are the ones still wearing plastic on the seat. Ninth, the premium garden tractor at compact tractor money. Step up from the entry tractors and you land on the serious ones. Cast iron front axle, heavier frame, real hitch, deck lift that does not fight you. And you land at $5,000 to $6,000. Those are good machines. I like them. Some of the best-built residential equipment made today lives in that band. The trouble is, what else $5,000 to $6,000 buys in 2026? It buys a used compact utility tractor with a loader, and a loader changes your life in a way a mower deck never will. It also buys 2 entry riders and a very nice trailer. So the premium tractor gets admired and skipped, over and over, all season, and by August the dealer has 3 of them and a sunburned stripe across the seat vinyl. I will say the quiet part. If you plan to keep a machine 15 years and you mow more than 2 acres, This is probably the smartest money on the lot. That does not stop them from sitting. Being right and being sellable are different jobs. 10th, the unit with an open recall on it. This is the most literal version of rotting on a lot. In November of 2025, the Safety Commission published a recall on about 650 model year 2025 zero-radius turn mowers from one Arkansas builder, 2 model families, because the steering arm dampers could be installed wrong, which produced an unexpected bouncing motion and loss of control. There were 15 reports of it happening, and 1 minor injury. The remedy is free inspection and repair at a dealer. That is a small recall handled properly, and I want to be fair about that. The dampers get checked, the machine is fine. But try selling one off a floor in a small county where everybody reads the same feed. Those specific serial ranges become concrete blocks. There is history here too. A couple of years earlier, a major engine maker recalled engines used across a long list of Mower brands over a fire and burn hazard, spanning several model years of engines. When a recall reaches into 8 brands at once, it does not just park the affected units. It teaches a whole town to ask questions before writing a check. 11th, the mower that lost to a robot. The mid-size residential rider is now competing with a machine that costs less, works while you are at your daughter's game, and never needs a spring tune-up. Robotic mowers are the fastest growing thing in this whole industry, dominated by residential buyers, and the wire-free satellite-guided ones have removed the one objection that used to kill them. Nobody wants to bury a boundary wire around a 200-foot lawn. I will be straight about the numbers here, because the market research on robots is a mess. I found reputable-looking firms putting the global market at under $3 billion, and others putting it near 12 in the same year, which tells you they are counting completely different things. I took the low end, and I would not bet $1 on either. What is not in doubt is the direction, and dealers feel the direction before the statisticians publish it. Every quarter-acre and half-acre customer who buys a robot is a customer who did not buy a small rider ever again. 12th, and this is the one that explains the whole lot. Last year's unsold machine, wearing this year's price. Here is what happened. Steel and aluminum tariffs raised the cost of decks, blades, and frames. A 25% tariff on Chinese lithium-ion packs for non-automotive use took effect at the start of 2026, which by one industry estimate pushed landed costs up around 8% for builders sourcing cells over there. Manufacturers passed it along. One mower builder told its dealers in writing it was implementing a 6% price increase on parts and named the specific tariff sections driving it. That is not speculation. That is a company circular. So the 2026 machines came in higher. And when the 2026 machines come in higher, the leftover 2025 units on the floor do not get cheaper. They get repriced upward to sit alongside them because the dealer's replacement cost went up too, and he is financing that floor. Meanwhile, the equipment business generally has gone cold. Same-store tractor sales at a couple hundred dealerships were running down about 11% year over year in the first months of 2026, 4 consecutive months of declines. That is tractors, not mowers, and I want to keep those lanes separate. But it is the same dealer, the same floor plan loan, and the same nervous customer walking in. Then he sees the financing. 9 months at 0%, and if it is not paid off by then, 17.9% from the original purchase date. Retroactive to day 1. He does the math on his phone standing next to the machine, and he leaves. That is the sound of a mower starting to rot. Now, the thing I promised you. Somebody is trying to take 4 figures off you with a single hyphenated word, and the word is maintenance-free. Go and read the service manual for one of the most common sealed transaxles fitted to residential zero turns. In the same paragraph, that document tells you the unit is factory-filled, sealed, and does not require oil maintenance, and then tells you that in the event of oil contamination or degradation, adding or changing the oil may relieve certain performance problems. Read that again. It does not need oil service, except when the oil goes bad, in which case changing the oil helps. Those two sentences cannot both be operating instructions. One of them is engineering and one of them is marketing, and they printed them side by side because the manual has to be technically true while the sticker has to sell. Now look at what that word costs you. On the tractor side, the most common small transaxle in the world has no drain plug. You must remove it from the machine to change fluid the manufacturer itself specifies as a 5-weight 50 synthetic. On the zero-turn side, entry units get sealed integrated boxes with the fill port buried where you cannot reach it without drilling the deck of your own mower. And that same manufacturer runs a public technical page, walking owners through the oil service procedure on units sold as needing none, with owners in the comments describing tractors that will not climb a hill at 150 hours. Here is the arithmetic, and the arithmetic is the accusation. 2 quarts of good synthetic is $30 at any parts counter. A used replacement transaxle runs a few hundred. Sources disagree hard on the installed price, and I am taking the conservative end. But between the unit and a dealer's labor, you are realistically looking at many hundreds of dollars on a machine that cost $2,400. Call it a third of the purchase price in year 4 over a fluid change that was never on any schedule anybody handed you. And look at where they drew the line. The coverage on the cheap tractors is 120 hours. The part everyone worries about is generally expected to see 300 to 500. The warranty does not expire because the machine got old. It expires before the expensive thing statistically starts to go, and not one day further. Nobody wrote a memo saying, "Let us hide the drain plug so we can sell transaxles." It is quieter than that. A drain plug is a leak path, a warranty claim, a wrong fluid claim, and a couple of dollars per unit across a few million units. Somebody with a spreadsheet made a defensible decision, and the cost of that decision arrived at your door 4 summers later with your name on it. That is my read, not a document. I have never seen the memo, and I doubt one exists. But you know the sentence now. Maintenance-free means we did not give you access, not we removed the need. It will not work on you again. Here is what I keep coming back to, and it is not about mowers. The ability to look at a machine and know what it is, that is a skill, and it is the only one nobody can price, bundle, or take away from you. It is not knowledge exactly. Knowledge is knowing that a transaxle takes 5-weight 50. Judgment is walking up to a shiny machine and knowing which 20% of it decides whether you are happy in 6 years, and asking about that instead of the cup holders. Judgment travels. The man who learned to check what the rear end of a garden tractor is made of is the same man who asks what the compressor in a heat pump is, who wants to know whether the bearings in a pump are sealed or greasable, who turns a chair over in a furniture store. It is one habit wearing different clothes. And it is teachable, which is the good part. Every old hand in every trade got it handed to them by somebody who had already been burned. Nobody works this out from a brochure. You work it out from a bench, a bill, or a conversation with a guy who paid the bill before you. That is the whole reason this stuff is worth passing along. A machine you understand is a machine you own. A machine you do not understand owns a piece of you, and it collects. Let me put the practical part in order for you. 12 machines going stale. The cheap single-cylinder tractor, the manual gear tractor, the 30-inch rear-engine rider, the entry zero-turn, the battery zero-turn, the battery tractor, the steering wheel zero-turn, the oversized residential deck, the premium garden tractor, anything sitting under an open recall, the small rider losing to robots, and last year's unit wearing this year's price. Now the procedure, because a rule of thumb is useless, and a procedure you can run on your own numbers is a tool. Before you buy any of these, do 5 things in this order. 1. Get the transaxle or transmission model number. Not the brand of mower, the number stamped on the drive unit. Ask the dealer to look under it with you. If nobody can produce that number, that is your answer. 2. Look up 2 facts about that unit: its fluid capacity and whether it has a drain plug. Those 2 facts predict your ownership cost better than horsepower ever will. 3. Price the replacement unit before you buy the mower, used and new, and ask the service desk what they charge to install one. 4. Get the warranty in hours, in writing, not in years. Then divide your annual mowing hours into it, and you will know precisely which summer you are on your own. 5. Ask for the out-the-door number including freight, setup, and any dealer fee, and ask what the interest rate becomes if the promotional period lapses. Then the decision rule. If the discount they are offering on that dusty machine is smaller than the cost of the repair you just priced in step 3, walk away. You are being paid less to take the risk than the risk is worth. If the discount is bigger than that repair, buy it and spend a Saturday and about $30 or $40 in synthetic changing. That fluid at 50 hours, and again every 100 after that. Budget 2 to 3 hours the first time. Mostly spent getting the unit out and back in. Wear gloves, chock the wheels, use jack stands and not the jack. Disconnect the plug wire before your hands go anywhere near a blade, and do not mow a slope steeper than the machine is rated for, no matter how good the tires look. Do that, and the bill never comes. Year 4 arrives, the thing still climbs your hill, and the $800 afternoon you were quietly scheduled for just does not happen. You will not even notice. That is what winning looks like in this hobby, an invoice that never gets written. Now I know exactly who is going to disagree with me here, and I want to hear from them specifically. If you sell this equipment, or you turn wrenches on it for a living, tell me what I got wrong. I have had a lot of these apart, but I have not had all of them apart, and the failure rates I quoted are the honest middle of a very noisy pile of evidence. If your service records say otherwise, say so and say it plainly. I would rather be corrected in public than confident in private. And one specific question, because a vague question gets a vague answer. Which single model has sat on your lot the longest? And what is the real reason nobody bought it? Not the marketing reason. The reason you tell the other guy in the shop. I read the replies on these, all of them, and the corrections are usually the most valuable thing on the page. If this was useful, subscribe. There is a thread here I deliberately left alone: the spindles. Because there is a difference between a spindle with a real tapered bearing in it and one riding on a bushing, and the whole industry has quietly slid from one to the other while nobody was reading spec sheets, and I have not worked out yet whether anybody ever announced it. I am still digging on that one. Until then, check the number on your transaxle before you check the number on the price tag. That is the whole game.